Hey there, Duncan here. So in this quick video, I'm going to take you through a AI-based approach to doing direct outreach that's going to solve a number of problems that currently exist with cold email and direct outreach in general. So briefly, those problems as I see them is that it's really time consuming to get a good quality list of prospects to reach out to. Either, you've got to manually go through and find people on LinkedIn, or you've got to use software, find them and go through the list yourself. Because if you do use software, then typically it's going to give you a lot of people that aren't really appropriate or the right people for your offer. And if you use a list builder, then you still get some of the same problems, but it's also much more expensive. You're having to pay up to like 20 or 50 cents per contact. So that can get really expensive really quick. And there's still problems with the quality until you've, worked with that person for a long time and trained them up. And then by that time, you've spent a lot of money to get to that point, and you may not have got the best results still. So another problem at the other end of things is once you have that list of people, it's hard to get the right balance between personalization and sending out enough contacts to actually get a response. So we all know that most people are not ready to buy right now for any particular offer. So it's always a bit of a kind of spray and pray approach with direct outreach. Obviously, there's a lot of things you can do to make it more personalized and get more of a response rate. But often what this does is just increase the number of people that are responding, like reaching out, but not right now. So you don't want to waste loads and loads of time personalizing every single email in a lot of detail, because that time just at the end of the day just goes into a black hole. And if you'd spent that time, say, creating content, then at least you have that out in the world, and over time that grows. Whereas it can feel quite demoralizing sending out lots of really personalized emails that you spent a lot of care and energy creating for people, and then you don't get any results from it. So that's one end of the scale. Then the other end of the scale, what a lot of people do is just send out mass emails with no personalization at all. And of course, we all are also on the receiving end of that. And it's really annoying. It's just like spam, like, you don't care about me. Why would I respond to you? So there's got to be a middle ground. And I think that is possible with these AI tools I'm about to talk about in this video. Just briefly running through the different parts of this. So first of all, we've got to find leads. So in this case, I'm going to be using non-AI based lead finding software called Closely. So there's a bunch of other ones like Apollo, Zoom Info at various different price points. But honestly, the quality out of all of them is still not quite at the point where you can just use them on their own. And they are not showing any signs of getting to that point. So you got a kind of unfiltered source of leads. I mean, they're filtered obviously by quite broad factors like parts of their job title, industry, location, so you're obviously filtering them to a degree. But what I find is that, for example, if I search for business coaches on Closely, then it actually shows me a lot of people like rugby team coaches for the national team in the UK, for example, which is not a business coach at all. So you need to typically manually go through that. But obviously that brings me to the next step, which is filter using ChatGPT. So what I'm talking about here is not going to the ChatGPT website and like copying and pasting their name in, and that would be ridiculous. That would just be even slower than doing it by hand. What I'm talking about is using the ChatGPT API, the application programming interface, so you can connect ChatGPT to Closely, and then you can have it be a sales assistant, and you can teach them just like you would a human assistant to say, hey, my offer is primarily for different types of coaches who at the moment are doing lots of organic outreach. They could really benefit from having a call booking funnel so they can book more discovery calls and focus more on their clients. So the ideal client for that is someone that has some experience, has some clients, is doing organic marketing, but they're not working with big corporations, and they are a coach that helps people with their business. So they're not a rugby team coach or sports coach or speaking coach or something like that. So, that's an example. And we'll get into the specific prompting language that you would use, because it's slightly different from the way that I just explained it. But basically, that's how it works. And so what you can do is get it to, what I'm going to show you is how to give it a score for each person. So, if they are an ideal client, it's going to give them a 9 or 10 out of 10. And if they are a clearly not good client for you, it's going to give them a really low score. So you can have that in a spreadsheet where it says, okay, I'm going to focus on reaching out to the 9s and 10s first. And then maybe if I run out, I'm going to work my way down the list and, check those out based on the person's website, for example. So what you can do is have ChatGPT read their website, and then you can say things based on this. So, depending on your offer and how it relates to their website, you might have it say different things. But for me, because I'm talking about different ways that they can book more discovery calls, then what I can do is have ChatGPT look at the website based on the criteria I would use if I was manually reviewing it. And I would say, does this person have a case study video that potential clients can watch? Do they have a clear call to action button for people to book a discovery session? Other criteria in it as well, but those are two really obvious ones. And you can have ChatGPT visit the website and then make an assessment based on that. And it will include that as part of its reasoning for giving you the lead score. But it can also give an explanation where it's talking to the potential client and saying, this is why I'm reaching out, because I was looking at your website and I noticed, whilst you have some amazing testimonials, what I noticed is that you don't have a clear call to action button and you don't have a case study video. So would you like some help creating that? Because here's the benefits of doing that. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it right now. So then that's part of it. And obviously, if you want, you can include that text in the email. That's personalization on its own, right? But in this case, I'm taking it a step further, and I'm actually having another AI tool called Potion actually customize personalized videos for these people. So what it's going to do is it's going to include a short video where it's basically me talking to them, saying their name, saying, hey, David, took a look at your website and here's some things I noticed. And it's going to show a screenshot of me scrolling around the website with me in the little picture in the corner talking. And then it's going to include that in the emails that I send out. So then from then on, it's pretty standard. So we just send out emails and follow-ups. And in this case, I'm using Lemlist. You can use your particular cold outreach tool of choice. There's hundreds of them. And then ideally, after this, we book calls and get clients. So it's actually pretty straightforward. And that's the model. That's the overall approach. So what I'm going to do next is jump in and show you in detail. So first step, we've got to find some leads. So I'm going to head over to Closely. And again, you can, there's also Apollo. There's a number of other tools like this. So as you can see, I'm over inside Closely, gone to Lead Finder on the left-hand menu, and I've searched for the job title Coach, company size of 1 to 10, and I want these people to be in the UK. And this is the list that is found for me. So what I now need to do is use this list to be filtered and to start reaching out to these people. So what I'm going to be using for that is a tool that kind of ties all these systems together, and that is called make.com. Used to be called Integramat, if you're familiar with that. And what it does is basically allows ChatGPT to be easily plugged into various processes that you have in your business. So it's incredibly helpful for a number of different things, but in this case, we've just been talking about what we're going to be doing with it. So let's get started with that. So basically, you see here how there's these buttons on the right. So these buttons, if I go to one that I haven't actually already exported, then it should say sync on the right hand there. And that is, it looks like I've already, this one. So for example, this one here says sync. And what that's going to do is push that through into make. So what you want to do is head over to make, obviously create an account if you don't have one already. And we're going to set it up like this. So first of all, you need a custom webhook. And the way that you create a webhook inside Closely is by going to integrations. And then there's a webhook button there. And you can all you have to do is just paste in the address that you get from make when you create the webhook in the first place. Then what I've got is a filter, because it does send through people who it's not able to find a website or an email address for. And in this case, those aren't going to be useful to us. So if it doesn't send through that data, we're just going to skip that person. There's plenty of people out there. And the whole point of this is to filter and get high quality leads to reach out to. So in this case, we want it to have both these attributes, and if they don't, we just ignore them. Next thing we're going to be doing is visiting that person's website. So what we're going to be doing is basically putting the website address in here. So the only thing that you need to do that's a little bit complicated here is adding in this code, because not all of the websites that people have on LinkedIn include the HTTPS part of the address. And so basically, if most people do, and so this is not a big deal if you don't do this step, but basically you just need to copy what I have here, and that will basically add the HTTPS in front of the website if it doesn't already have it. Because if it doesn't have it and you try to access the website, then it won't load. The next step is to do HTML to text. So we just use the HTML to text parser, put in data here, which is from the last step. So basically, we're getting the raw HTML data from the website, but we don't want all of that. So we just really want the text that's displayed, and then we can send that through to ChatGPT. So, you can try it without this step, and sometimes that's going to mean that it's better at identifying like buttons and images and things. But on the other hand, it does take up a lot more space. And because you get charged for the number of tokens that you use, so basically like how long is the text that you give ChatGPT, then you want to make it efficient, really. And so next step is to add a OpenAI step. So I'll show you how to set that up. So we want obviously you connect your OpenAI account with your API key up here, then select a method. This needs to be create a chat completion. The model, I'm using the ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo 16K model. So you can use the GPT-4 model, and that sometimes is going to make a difference and give you better results. This is the more capable model. And what I found is that it does make more of a difference in terms of like how accurately it follows your instructions. So if you have a really detailed customer profile that you want to find and really detailed instructions, then it could be worth using the GPT-4 model instead of 3.5. But do be aware that it's somewhere between 10 and 20 times more expensive. So, it's another kind of balancing act that you got to get right for you. And the 16K version basically means that it has more context available. So if people have quite long websites and you also have a lot of instructions about how you want to filter your leads, then if you use the standard model, it only has about 4,000 tokens that you can use. So you can sometimes run into issues with that. But in this case, we're using the 16K model. So it's got 4 times the length of the information you can feed it. And that seems to be the best balance for what I found, at least. So first thing we've got to do is give it the system message. So if you're not familiar with the ChatGPT API, this is something you don't normally see if you're just using the ChatGPT web interface. Because on the web interface, it does have a system message behind the scenes. That system message is basically something like, you're a helpful assistant, and then it has some more details about things it shouldn't say. So in this case, we're allowed to set the system message. And what I've done is given it some instructions that are always going to remain the same. So it tends to give the system message a little bit higher priority in terms of like how strictly it follows the instructions. And so that's why I've put this in here. But, it can still work if you put it in the user message. So what I've done is given it the following prompt. Now, it's quite long, but, it makes sense, right? So you're a marketing funnel design expert and lead scoring system. You will always output JSON in the following format. So this is important, right? We've got to have it be able to write in a way that other steps of the automation can understand. And so that's why we've written it in this format. So it's really simple. It's basically the key and then the information that you want to be returned. And so at the moment that's blank because I want it to fill in the blanks. But I just told it how I want it to output things. So you'll output it in the following format. And we've got 3 items here. So the funnel improvement notes, potential client score, reason for potential client score. So the first one is basically what you might actually be sending to the client in the email. So, hey, look to your website. I noticed that you didn't have a button, you didn't have a phone number. You should add those. And then potential client score, that is how good of a client, how close to an ideal client are they? So 0 is they're terrible, like they only work with the royal family and help advise them on growing bananas, and that is clearly not right for you. So 0. Reason for potential client score, that is its justification for how it's come to that score. So if you're trying to like debug it, then that's helpful. So rest of the instructions. This is kind of where we're telling it how to think. So what I've said is you will be given their website text as an input, as well as their job title and email address. Based on this, you will provide some short bullet points on how to improve it as a funnel for getting coaching clients, written in the second person directly to the potential client, referencing specific text on their website, such as the button underneath the headline, which says your dream life. You will also provide a potential client score. This is a score from 0 to 10, where 0 is not a good client for me and 10 is an ideal client for me. Also provide a reason. And then I've said some more information basically on the kind of client who's ideal, and then examples of a client who would get a low score. So for example, someone who's another marketing person or an accountant or things like this. So, you can read what I've put there, but I'm going to waste your time reading through the whole thing. So then in the user message, what we have is basically just the client or potential client information. And at the moment, all I'm putting in here is their website text. So if you want, you could include their job title, name, email address, things like that. Obviously, you got to make your own choice about how you're handling this data, because there's like GDPR issues and things like that potentially. But basically, in this case, like they put this information out there publicly. They're running a business. There's a reasonable expectation that they would like some help improving their business, and we're processing the public text of their website as well as some of their other marketing information. So I think that's fine to do that, but obviously not a lawyer. And if you're in the US, different story. So this is how this technically works, right? So very, very simple. You basically just tell it what you want, who's your ideal client, and then it goes away and figures that out for you. So the next step is you just need to parse the JSON. So again, you just paste in the example that you gave it of what the JSON looks like, and then that's going to give you actual separated out records that you can then use. And in this case, I'm feeding it through to a Google Sheet. So it's going to give me a lead sheet, and it's going to fill out all the contact information and everything. And then in the last 3 rows, we've got their improvement notes. So what do we think they can do better about their website and funnel, their lead score, and then the reason for the lead score. And that's going to add a row. So at the moment, this works reasonably well. There's still some fine tuning, but that's mostly in terms of like perfecting the prompts that you use. There's actually like a small bug at the moment to do with the way that it puts the rows into Google Sheets. So you'll notice that basically every time it adds a new one, it adds it at the top and it ignores the header row, so it bumps it down. It's kind of annoying, but it's given the amount of value that the AI is providing in terms of the rest of the setup. I think this is fine, and I think it's something that probably make.com will fix at some point. So anyway, you can see I'm going to have to blur out some of these email addresses just for YouTube, but you can. The most important thing here is basically the scoring system. So like we can see, we've got a range of scores, right from a 0 up to quite a few 9s. So let's see one here that's a 0. And let's see why it's given it a 0. Your website indicates that your web agency is closed, which means you're no longer able to offer coaching services. This makes you not a potential client for our coaching services. Okay. So, I mean, that makes sense. I think I agree with that. I think it's got a little bit confused about, that it's written to the client. And honestly, if they have a web agency, then they're not a coach to begin with. So that alone should be the reason why it's given them a 0. But the fact that it's given them the right score, even if the reason isn't quite what I agree with, then I think that's working. So this one's given a 9. So let's see. So the reason the potential client scores high because they have an existing website and work as a mindset coach. Cool. Which aligns with the services offer. However, they do not have a case study video or booking feature on their website. These missing elements indicate a need for my services to improve their coaching funnel and attract more clients. Cool. So again, like that seems to make sense. Out of the first two, at least, it seems like it's doing its job. If we look at some of the bullet points here that it's suggested to send to them, okay, we've got create a case study video showcasing your coaching success stories and transformation your clients have experienced. Cool. So these are all fine, but they're quite generic. Looking through these, I mean, it hasn't really referenced their business that much. It's unfortunately, this is not great for sending out directly to them because they might not realize that it's personalized. It sounds like quite generic advice. Even though this is maybe accurate and actually, appropriate for their website, it's just that it's not showing, it's not like proving that we actually looked at their website. So probably need to tweak that if I was going to use this to personalize it, but actually I probably am not going to. I'm just going to rely on the video, which should be enough on its own. So that's, I think, enough of the lead filtering. The one thing I will add to this is that obviously we're talking about outbound prospecting, but if you get a high volume of inbound leads, then you can also apply the same approach. So you can have it go and check out their website and see if you can qualify them that way. So I'm going to head over to Potion now and start creating the videos. The way that it leverages AI is that it's basically, it's able to personalize their first name without you recording all of the videos. Well, there's two ways you can do it. The way that I'm using it at the moment is that what it does is it uses AI to move your mouth so that your mouth is moving in sync with the recording you just did. There is also a mode where it will also, you train the AI to speak in your voice, and then it will also go through and say the first names as well. But I haven't tried that. I honestly feel a bit weird about doing that. So I haven't done that yet. But obviously, if you want to try that out, that is one of the features that it has. And obviously, the benefit of that is that you don't need to go through and record the names. But honestly, it doesn't take that long because all you're doing is going through and going, hey, Susie, hey, Tony, hey, Yvonne, and then it just splices it in automatically. So it's really quite efficient. And I think it does strike a good balance of personalized and efficient. And that's what we like. So what it also does is it will insert a screenshot of their website in the background. So, and it will also scroll it automatically. So as you're talking about their website, it's going to scroll through their website as if you're doing a screen recording video live and doing it. So there's other things you can insert there depending on your offer. So you could have a different video or different images, but this is the way I'm using it. And so far it's been reasonably effective. So basically all you do is record a video and you upload a list of people, and then you can start sending those emails. So then once you've done that, you basically go and grab the code. So you click share your video, and then depending on which email software you're using, so for example, I'm using Lemlist, you just click this and paste this into your emails, and then just write your emails as you would normally. And that's pretty much it. So this way, you still have full control of the process, but it just gets a lot more efficient as well. And over time, you can tweak the instructions that you're giving the AI so that it is even closer to how you would do it if you were going through it manually. So thanks for watching this. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you. And if you want help setting up systems using automation in your business, whether it's coaching or I also work with some solar companies, then get in touch and we can get you the help that you need with that. All right. Cheers. Bye.